Becky Hammon walks back what she said about Jalen Brunson, and I'm here to break it all down. All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel from Knicks Digest, and let's hop right into today's video. So yesterday on NBA Today, Becky Hammon was a guest on the show, and she basically wanted to walk back what she said about Jalen Brunson, talking about how he's not a 1A type of player. And just to be a little bit more specific as to what she said, first of all, we were talking in a championship culture. There's nothing more attractive than a bunch of guys with panties like up there. Calm down, calm down, calm down. He's a tremendous player. I love watching him. Love watching smaller guys play because they defy the odds. Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, MVPs. They didn't win a championship. So yes, he is your 1A, and all I was saying is that I don't think you win a championship. It's not that he's not amazing. He's amazing. So calm down, New York. So when Becky Hammon made those comments, I think it was about a month ago, maybe a little bit more than that. Basically, everybody got on her back because she said that Jalen Brunson wasn't a 1A type of player, and everybody was getting on her back because Jalen Brunson, up until this point, has shown you that, like, actually he is a 1A type of player. Look at what he did for the Knicks last season in the playoffs when we beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 games, and he was unquestionably the leader of the team. Look at what he did in the second round against Miami. I believe dropping a 30 or 40 point game on Miami in Game 6. And a big reason as to why I think Knicks fans were getting on her case is because look at the success that we've had since Jalen Brunson has come to the Knicks. Albeit it's only been 1 season, but in that 1 season, he's been able, in his first season with the Knicks, he's been able to do what Carmelo Anthony was only able to do once. He was able to do what only Patrick Ewing and the 90s team were able to do, which is get past the first round. So I get why the Knicks fans were on her case about what she said, but as Knicks fans, especially me being one, I always like to classify myself as being a realist. So what I want to do is I want to take a step back and let's just take a look at what she said. Jalen Brunson being a 1A type of player at his height, at his stature, can he be the best player on a championship team? The only examples that we've had of players of Jalen Brunson's height, of his stature, being the best player on the team, we've got, as far as the real examples, because we have multiple. We got Marbury, we got Steve Francis, we got a whole bunch of those type of players, point guards. But I'm talking about the ones that actually led their teams to the promised land, which is actually getting to the NBA Finals or even winning an NBA Finals. I could only think about 3. And 2 of them, Becky Hammon actually mentioned in her little monologue. If we take a look, it says Allen Iverson and Steve Nash. Now, we take a look into Allen Iverson. He went to the finals in 2001, going against the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, R.I.P. Kobe. And Allen Iverson himself was able to get 1 game. I believe he dropped a 40-point game or a 45-point game, and they won 1 game. But they ended up losing in a gentleman's sweep in 5 games. And in that year in particular, Allen Iverson's Philadelphia 76ers team, they completely built the team around Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson, all he wanted to do was score. He didn't want to worry about anything else but put the ball in the bucket. That's why they got players like Eric Snow, Kevin Ollie, and they got Aaron McKee in order to pick up the slack where Allen Iverson was not doing his job, which is basically what I'm saying on the defensive end. Allen Iverson was not trying to be a defensive player. He just wanted to get buckets. So the Philadelphia 76ers, they built a team around him, and it ended up working out. It didn't necessarily get them a championship, but it got them to the championship round. Unfortunately, they went up against the Kobe and Shaq Lakers, which it was in the middle of the three-peat. Nobody was stopping Shaq in particular. Kobe was on the rise. So Allen Iverson, that's one example. The other example that Becky Hammon mentioned, Steve Nash. Steve Nash has back-to-back MVPs, but was he able to get to the championship round when he was the leader of those Phoenix Suns teams? No. Steve Nash was able to get to the Western Conference Finals, but on more than one occasion, he went up against the Spurs, I believe, and he went up against the Kobe Lakers, I believe. But where Steve Nash differs than Allen Iverson is you didn't have to build the team specifically around Steve Nash, because Steve Nash was a pass-first type of point guard where he liked to get everybody else involved. Allen Iverson, he was pretty much looking for his. And the only way he was going to lead his teams to success was to put the ball in the bucket. Steve Nash, yes, he could put the ball in the bucket, and he was very underrated at doing so, but his primary and his best skill was to get others involved. So you could put different type of pieces around Steve Nash. That's why Amari was so successful. That's why Shawn Marion was so successful. That's why Joe Johnson, when he was with the Phoenix Suns, was so successful. Quentin Richardson, Tim Thomas, like there's a whole bunch of different type of players that you can look at being built around Steve Nash, and he made those players a lot better. But unfortunately, Steve Nash was not able to get a championship ring. He was not able to get to the finals and win a championship. Now, the third and final example that I have, straight freestyling off the dome right now, Isaiah Thomas. And I'm talking about the Detroit Pistons in the 80s, Isaiah Thomas. He led the Detroit Pistons to back-to-back championships, once against the Lakers and one against the Portland Trail Blazers. Isaiah Thomas is one of the most underrated players of all time, and I think since his beef with Jordan and Pippen and the Chicago Bulls, and because he was part of the bad boy era, I feel like the media really tries to shun him because he wasn't a great example of the NBA at that time. And again, talking about his beef with Michael Jordan, it's still lingering, and the media, obviously, they praise Michael Jordan as him being the GOAT, and they don't want any negative energy, any negative type of press surrounding Michael Jordan, and Isaiah Thomas falls into that category. So the NBA media kind of shuns Isaiah Thomas. Whenever like the best players of all time come up, those conversations come up, Isaiah Thomas is always like just put on the back burner, specifically with the point guards, best point guards of all time. A lot of people, they always bring up Magic Johnson as the first player, but then they completely forget about Isaiah Thomas. Like Isaiah Thomas was the one that completely disrupted the run that Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were having at the time, and nobody seems to talk about it. So shout out to Isaiah. Zeke, shout out to you. But Isaiah Thomas, as far as being similar to Jalen Brunson's physical stature, as far as their skills and what they're able to do on the floor, is a bit different. But as far as just their physical stature, Isaiah Thomas is another player I can point to. And he was actually one of, if not the only player that I can point to that actually led his team, not to one, but to 2 NBA championships. But going back to Becky Hammon's point, this is where like I said earlier, I want to take a step back. And I don't want to say that I agree with her, because can Jalen Brunson be the best player on a championship team? That's really difficult. If I would have to put my money on it, I would say no. Unfortunately, Knicks fans, don't kill me in the comments, all right? I'm a Knicks fan through and through, from New York, all day, every day. Queens get the money. But we got to take a look at the NBA landscape, man. The talent around the NBA is ridiculous right now. And I'm not talking about the Eastern Conference. I'm not talking about just the Western Conference. I'm talking about the point guard position specifically. We're talking Dame Lillard. We're talking Ja. We're talking De'Aaron Fox. We're talking Tyrese Halliburton. We're talking Tyrese Maxey. We're talking Steph Curry. We're talking SGA. Like, the talent around the NBA is at its highest, I think, that maybe we've ever seen. So Jalen Brunson being part of this point guard renaissance, maybe not even a renaissance, just part of this point guard talent pool, it's really hard to say if Jalen Brunson can be the best player on a championship team. If they end up doing it, which I think they can, but if they end up doing it, I feel like the Knicks are going to have to take the route that the Philadelphia 76ers did with Allen Iverson. They're going to have to build a team specifically around Jalen Brunson's skills and attributes. Jalen Brunson, where he differs from Allen Iverson is, yes, he can put the ball in the bucket. He's really good at it. But he is also good at making the players around him better, which Allen Iverson just absolutely just did not have that skill, did not have that talent at all. He did not possess it at all. Like I said earlier in the video, all he was about was getting buckets. Jalen Brunson, he can put the ball in the hoop, but he also does make his teammates around him better. So as far as building the team really specific around Jalen Brunson, I don't think it would be that hard. But then you got to take into account Jalen Brunson himself, the player, going up against all these elite point guards in the NBA. Can he do it? Of course. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Jalen Brunson I don't know if he could be the best, absolute best player on the team. Right now, currently as the team is constructed, in my opinion, Jalen Brunson is the best player on the team. But I don't think they're going to win a championship this season. But a lot of Knicks fans, they believe that Julius Randle is the best player on the team. So you have that dichotomy between Brunson and Julius Randle. So there's always going to be that little bit of tug of war as far as who's the best player. In this video that I'm talking about specifically, I'm talking about unquestionably Jalen Brunson has to be the best player on the team. If Jalen Brunson unquestionably is the best player on the team and there's nobody behind him that we can bring up in a conversation, that we can bring up in an argument, can you realistically say that Jalen Brunson can lead us to a championship and win? I'm not sure. So all in all, Knicks fans, if you're watching this, please don't kill me in the comments. I'm just trying to be a little bit of a realist here. I'm trying to dial back our hype for Jalen Brunson and our hype for the rest of the season. Speaking of the rest of the season, in last night's post-game video, I talked about obviously the loss that we had against the New Orleans Pelicans, but then I started talking about the upcoming schedule that the Knicks have. Jalen Brunson last night missed the game with neck spasms. Randall's going to be out for more time. OG is going to be out for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Hartenstein is in and out in the lineup because of his torn Achilles. Mitchell Robinson is not going to be back until the playoffs. Guys, I don't want to say it's panic time, but we should probably keep an eye on these injuries, specifically with Hartenstein and Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson being healthy going into any game, I give us a shot. But last night going against the New Orleans Pelicans, when I heard in the pregame where Rebecca Harlow said that Jalen Brunson is not going to be in the game because of neck spasms, we could all kind of agree that even though the Knicks could have won if they put a really good effort, which they did, the talent from the other side was just overwhelming, and the Pelicans ended up running away with the game, which I expected that the Knicks to lose. Now, the upcoming games and the schedule, again, depending on who we have available. Jalen Brunson, I haven't heard anything yet if he's going to play in tomorrow night's game against the Golden State Warriors. Same thing with Hartenstein. It's still up in the air. But if we take a look, again, tomorrow we got Golden State. We don't know who we have. Then we got Cleveland, who's playing well. Atlanta's playing without Trae Young because Trae Young, I believe 2 or 3 days ago, it was reported that Trae Young went and got surgery for one of his fingers that he tore a ligament in. I believe it was on his shooting hand. So right now, the team that's leading Atlanta is DeJounte Murray. So DeJounte Murray might be able to have a little bit more freedom and see what he's able to do, because up until this point, the Atlanta Hawks have been a bit of a disappointment. But now with DeJounte Murray being the leader of the team, you never know. They might go on a run. And as far as right now, depending on who we play, depending on the bodies that we have available, I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to get that win. The Orlando Magic, up-and-coming team, they're hungry, they're in the playoff right now, they're in the play-in right now, and they want to stay in there. So you know they're going to come at us with their best effort. The back-to-back games with Philadelphia 76ers, even though Embiid is out, they still have a lot of talent on that team. And again, depending on the bodies that we have available to us, I can easily see us losing those 2 games. Portland is an up-and-coming team, young, hungry, spry, even though they don't have a lot of direction right now. Scoot Henderson, he's coming on strong. Sacramento's in the playoffs right now. Solid team. We play Golden State again. Obviously, Steph Curry, Clay, Dre. And then we got the reigning defending champions at Denver on March 21st. I'm not even sure to give you an analysis of the wins that we're going to have or the losses that we're going to have, because I don't know who we're going to have available. The Jalen Brunson neck spasms, I'm not too worried about. He might miss another game tomorrow, or he might miss 2 more games, which we're just going to have to deal with it. Hartenstein, again, I'm not sure. It's sore Achilles. That could be a couple of weeks, or you never know. He might actually play in tomorrow's game. It's really up and down right now, but I just think us as Knicks fans, we should keep an eye on it, because if we're not careful, we could be sliding down the standings really fast. And talking about the standings, right now, we're at 4th, ahead of the Philadelphia 76ers. Yo, I don't know, man. I just don't want to be in the play-in situation. I do not want to fall to the 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th seed in order to get into the playoffs. But that's it for today's video, guys. I want to say thank you for checking it out. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about Becky Hammon's comments regarding Jalen Brunson and her walking it back. And also leave it in the comments and let me know what you guys think about the upcoming games that we have for the Knicks and the bodies that we have available. Is it panic time? Or are you guys still okay? You guys are chilling out and you guys are waiting it out and see how everything unfolds. Let me know in the comments. But until next time, guys, you guys know the drill. You guys know the vibe. Taj Gibson for president. Jalen Brunson for all the MVPs, even though he didn't get All-Star MVP. He could get regular season MVP. And we out. Peace. Knicks, baby.